Grand Admiral Xylar of the Galactic Dominion slouched in her command chair, her many tentacles twitching with an irritation that went beyond mere annoyance. The main view screen displayed yet another pathetic human colony burning, its atmosphere choked with smoke. These raids were tedious. Where was the challenge, the excitement, the worthy opponent the recruitment posters had promised her 2 centuries ago? "Another successful cleansing operation, Admiral," announced Lieutenant Vorek, his voice box emitting that irritating chirp of enthusiasm. "Minimal casualties on our side. The human defenses were inadequate." "Shocking," Xylar replied, not bothering to hide the sarcasm dripping from her mandibles. "Who could have possibly predicted that a farming colony with 3 outdated defense platforms would fall quickly to our armada of 50 warships? Truly, I am astounded by our military prowess." "Yes, Admiral, it is impressive." "It's boring, Lieutenant. B-O-R-I-N-G. The Council promised me a species that would present a genuine threat. Instead, I've spent 6 lunar cycles watching primitives run screaming from our ships. The humans don't even have proper space warfare doctrine. They just scatter like insects." Commander Rodas, her seasoned second-in-command, approached the command platform. "Perhaps we've been too methodical, Admiral. The human territories are vast, but we've only struck their outer colonies, minimal strategic value. Perhaps their home world, Earth, would present more of a challenge, a true crucible for our might." Xylar's compound eyes lit up. "Now there's a thought, Commander. Earth, the cradle of their civilization." She pulled up the data on her neural interface. Heavily defended, significant military presence, and, multiple orbital defense grids. This might actually require some tactical consideration. "Should I inform the fleet, Admiral?" asked Vorek, eager to be useful. "Yes, and prep a communication to the Council. Tell them—" Xylar smiled, revealing rows of serrated, needle-sharp teeth. "Tell them we are done playing with our food. It's time for the main course."
3 days later, the Dominion Armada, a colossal swarm of glittering warships, dropped out of hyperspace near the Sol System's outer defense perimeter. Xylar felt a familiar tingle of anticipation. Perhaps, finally, a worthy battle. "Human detection systems have spotted us, Admiral," reported the sensor officer. "They are scrambling defense forces." "Excellent. Let them come." Xylar leaned forward. "Deploy the fleet in Talon formation, launch fighter screens, and let's broadcast on all frequencies. I want them to know exactly who's come to end their species." The communications officer complied. Soon, Grand Admiral Xylar's intimidating face was being transmitted to every receiver in the system. "Attention, humans of Earth. I am Grand Admiral Xylar of the Galactic Dominion. Your outer colonies have fallen. Your expansion ends today. Your species has been deemed unworthy of galactic citizenship. Prepare for extinction." What she got instead was silence. For exactly 37 excruciating seconds. Every officer on the bridge felt the suffocating void. Then a single response came through, audio only. A calm, almost pleasant male voice. "Grand Admiral Xylar of the Galactic Dominion, this is General Alexander Alex Thorne of the United Earth Defense Force. We have been monitoring your campaign against our outer colonies. Thank you for your patience in giving us time to prepare. We were beginning to think you'd never make it to Earth." Xylar blinked. "Prepare. You expected this."
A soft, almost chilling chuckle came through the speakers. "Admiral, those colonies you so proudly destroyed, they were evacuated weeks before you arrived. Those inadequate defenses? Automated. Those casualties your forces inflicted, drones and empty buildings, carefully placed for your convenience." The bridge fell silent once more. Xylar felt her blood run cold. "You see," General Thorne continued, his voice still irritatingly calm, "we needed time. Time to study your weapons, your tactics, your vulnerabilities. Time to prepare our real defenses. And most importantly, time to finish Project Hellfire." "This is absurd," she hissed. "Your primitive technology cannot possibly—" "Oh, Admiral, you really should have done your homework before starting this little genocide attempt. Humans don't scatter like insects when threatened. We unite, we adapt, we evolve. And sometimes, Admiral, we learn to hit back a lot harder than we were hit." Suddenly, alarm klaxons blared. The sensor officer's voice rose to a panicked screech. "Admiral, multiple energy signatures appearing behind us. Thousands. They have surrounded the fleet." The view screen shifted wildly. It showed hundreds, no, thousands of small craft emerging from what appeared to be artificially generated wormholes, shimmering tears in the fabric of space. Each human craft, barely the size of a Dominion fighter, moved with impossible speed and precision, glowing with an eerie, sickly green light. "Impossible," whispered Commander Rodas. "Their technological level is nowhere near." "What you are seeing," Thorne explained, his voice now carrying a hint of dark, profound satisfaction, "is our first wave. Quantum-entangled strike craft, completely autonomous, each carrying what we like to call a star-splitter warhead. And just for fun, Admiral, we've programmed them to emit a low-frequency neural scrambler. Might make your targeting systems a bit twitchy, and your crews a little bit more terrified." Xylar stood, rage building, mixed with a growing cold dread. "All ships, open fire! Destroy those craft!" But it was already too late. The human vessels moved with unnatural coordination, evading Dominion targeting systems with mocking ease. Their eerie green glow intensified. "You unleashed hell on our colonies, Admiral Xylar." General Thorne's voice hardened, becoming a cold, hard blade of sound. "And do you know what humans said when we heard about your first attacks? When we realized what we were up against?" The first explosions rocked the fleet as the human craft swirling around the Dominion ships began their assault. Dominion cruisers didn't detonate in fireballs. Instead, they crumpled inward, their hulls warping and collapsing silently, sucking the very light out of space before neatly, efficiently compressing into expanding clouds of superheated plasma, a horrifying, clinical, utterly devastating destruction. "We said," Thorne's voice boomed across the comms, "finally, a reason to get really nasty." The transmission cut off, leaving only the agonizing sounds of chaos erupting across the Dominion fleet. Lieutenant Vorek looked at Xylar, his mandibles trembling uncontrollably, his scales turning a mottled, sickly gray. "Admiral, what have we done?" Xylar sank back into her command chair as she watched the first Dominion cruiser simply implode. "We made a terrible mistake, Lieutenant. We assumed humans were prey. It appears we were wrong."
The battle above Earth lasted precisely 47 minutes. Xylar was too busy trying to keep her flagship, the Invincible Judgment, from becoming an expanding cloud of superheated plasma. "Evasive pattern Delta 6! Maximum thrust!" she shouted over the cacophony of alarms. The deck lurched violently. "Status report," Commander Rodas gasped. 37% of the fleet destroyed or disabled. Human craft are targeting our engines and weapon systems with surgical precision. They are not even attempting to kill our crews, Admiral. How considerate of them." The sarcasm in his voice was laced with pure terror. "Communications! Any response from the Council?" The villain communications officer shook his head. "Our quantum relays were the first systems targeted, Admiral. We are cut off." Of course they were. Xylar watched the tactical display. "They are toying with us," she realized aloud. "They could have destroyed us immediately, but they are taking their time. They want us to understand." "Admiral," Lieutenant Vorik called out, his voice a frantic squeak. "Incoming transmission from the human general." Xylar straightened her uniform, demanding dignity. "Put him through," on the main view screen. General Alexander Thorne appeared on screen. "Admiral Xylar, I trust I have made my point?" "You have proven your species has teeth, General," Xylar admitted grudgingly. "What are your terms?" "Terms? Oh, you misunderstand the situation, Admiral. This isn't a negotiation. This is orientation." "Orientation?" Xylar repeated. "Yes, day one of your new education about humanity." Thorne smiled, a predatory expression. "We could destroy your entire fleet right now, but that would be wasteful and inefficient. Instead, we'd like to send you home with a message, a very, very clear message." Behind Thorne, Dr. Kalen Vance, xenobiologist and cultural attaché, stepped into view. "Admiral, in approximately 30 seconds, your ship will receive a data packet. It contains comprehensive information about human history, particularly our wars, the very specific kind of wars we fight." "Why would you give us your military history?" Xylar asked suspiciously. "Because," Vance replied, his eyes gleaming with unsettling curiosity, "we want you to understand exactly what you have awakened. Humans have been fighting each other for our entire recorded history. We have developed the art of warfare to levels of depravity and efficiency you cannot comprehend. The difference is, we have always directed that violence inward, until now." "Indeed," Thorne added. "Announcement, data packet received, Admiral. It's massive." "I suggest you review it carefully," continued Vance. "Pay particular attention to the sections on guerrilla warfare, mutually assured destruction, and psychological operations. Oh, and nuclear weaponry. We are quite fond of that one. We've used it on our own planets. Think about that." Xylar felt a new, profound chill. "What exactly do you want from us?" Thorne leaned forward. "You want us to go back to your council with our response. Tell them humanity formally declines their offer of extinction. Tell them we are not interested in their assessment of our worthiness, and tell them we are coming for them." "Coming?" Xylar's voice rose, desperate. "Where?" "Everywhere," Thorne said simply, with terrifying finality. "You have shown us there's a hostile galaxy out there. Thanks to your unprovoked attack, Admiral, humanity is now united with a common purpose for the very first time in our long, bloody history. So really, we should thank you." Vance nodded. "Your attack was the push we needed. Our governments have already enacted the Phoenix Protocols. Our industrial capacity is being converted utterly and completely for military production. Our best minds are focused exclusively on weapons development, and our population, well, let's just say recruitment centers are overwhelmed with volunteers, eager volunteers." Xylar tried to process this. "You are preparing for total war over a few colonies?" "Oh, not just a few colonies," Thorne corrected. "Those were human lives, children, families, communities, each one precious, each one worth avenging 1,000 times over. But most importantly," Vance added, "you threatened Earth, our home, the cradle of our civilization. There's nothing humans protect more fiercely than home, and nothing we will unleash more savagely to defend it." Another distant explosion rocked the ship.
Your demonstration is effective, General, Xylar conceded. What happens now? Now, Thorne checked a device, your remaining ships will be permitted to limp home, minus your weapon systems, of course. We have already disabled those with surgical, undetectable precision. And we have installed some insurance to ensure you don't try anything unfortunate on the journey, or ever again. Insurance. Xylar didn't like the sound of that. Quantum-linked explosive devices, Vance explained cheerfully. If tampered with, they will convert your entire ship's mass to energy instantaneously. Very clean, very efficient. No messy debris, no bodies to mourn. Xylar slumped. You have made your point. I doubt it, Thorne said, but you will understand soon enough. You have 24 hours to collect your damaged vessels and leave the Sol system. After that, we will consider any remaining Dominion ships to be legitimate military targets. And, Admiral, when you report to your council, make sure they understand what they have done. They didn't just attack a species. They didn't just threaten a planet. They gave humans a reason to look outward with our particular brand of boundless, inventive, and utterly terrifying creativity. Our history is filled with examples of what happens when someone pushes us too far, Admiral. Now it's your turn to learn that lesson firsthand, and it will be a lesson you and the entire Dominion will never, ever forget. The transmission cut off, leaving Xylar staring at the terrifying, vibrant green glow with the human strike craft still swarming her crippled fleet. She turned to Commander Rhodus, who looked ashen. Orders, Admiral? Xylar gazed at the tactical display. Recall all functioning ships, she said. Prepare for immediate departure, and download that data packet to my personal terminal. I want to know exactly what kind of monster we have awakened.
As the crippled Dominion fleet limped away from Earth 23 hours later, Xylar sat unmoving in her quarters, eyes fixed on her screen. She hadn't slept, couldn't sleep, not after what she'd learned. World wars, nuclear arsenals, guerrilla warfare, terrorism, biological weapons. The sheer, casual capacity for cruelty humans had demonstrated against their own kind was staggering. And now, that terrifying ingenuity was focused outward, toward the Dominion. Lieutenant Vorak hesitantly entered. Admiral, we have cleared the Sol system. Your presence is requested on the bridge for the jump to hyperspace. Xylar didn't look up from the screen where horrifying footage from the Siege of Stalingrad played. I have learned that we may have made the greatest strategic error in the history of the Dominion, she said quietly. We didn't just attack a primitive species. We attacked a species that has been perfecting the art of war against itself for millennia. A species that created weapons capable of destroying their own world before they even reached their nearest moon. Surely the Council will— The Council has no idea what's coming, Lieutenant, Xylar interrupted, but I do. And I'm afraid, Lieutenant. For the first time in my military career, I am truly, profoundly afraid. Vorak's antenna drooped. What will you tell the Council? Xylar rose, straightening her uniform. The truth, that we poked a slumbering predator, that we gave it a reason to wake up hungry and angry, so incredibly, unbelievably angry. She let out a long breath. And that we need to prepare, Lieutenant, because if what these humans say is true, the galaxy as we know it is about to change forever, and not in a way any of us are ready for. As they walked toward the bridge, Xylar couldn't shake the memory of General Thorne's final words. You unleashed hell on us, Admiral. Now we are going to show you what that really means.
6 months after the Sol incident, Grand Admiral Xylar stood before the High Council, her uniform lacking several commendation medals. You suggest we sue for peace with these humans after their unprovoked attack on our fleet,
asked Counselor Zarth, his face contorted with disbelief. With respect, Counselor, our fleet attacked their colonies first. Their response was defensive, brutally, lethally defensive, Xylar replied. Semantics, snapped Counselor Trova. We authorized a preemptive containment operation. There was nothing standard about their response, Xylar countered, gesturing to the holographic display showing the skeletal remains of her armada. They allowed us to destroy uninhabited outposts while studying our capabilities. Then they disabled, not destroyed, 53 capital ships in under an hour, using technology we didn't even know they possessed. They showed us mercy designed to instill maximum terror. The council chamber fell silent. Counselor Morva leaned forward. Admiral, in your report, you mentioned the Phoenix Protocols. Elaborate. I nodded. The Phoenix Protocols represent a complete, total, and irreversible restructuring of human civilization around a single purpose: military expansion and the absolute eradication of any perceived threat. Their entire industrial base is being converted for war production. Their population is being mobilized on a scale not seen in their history. To what end? Asked Morva. Total galactic supremacy, or at the very least, the complete dismantling of any power that they perceive as a threat, which now includes the Dominion. Counselor Zarth scoffed. Preposterous. Even with their surprising capabilities, they are a single species from a single world. The Dominion spans 3,000 systems, which makes us a larger target, Counselor, not a more difficult one. I've spent 6 months studying humans. Their history is an unbroken chain of warfare. They developed nuclear weapons capable of destroying their own biosphere before space travel, weapons they used on each other. They invented methods of torture and psychological subjugation that would horrify even our most hardened interrogators. If they are so formidable, interrupted Counselor Vex, why haven't we detected any incursions? Because they are not stupid, Counselor. They are following speak softly and carry a big stick. They are building their forces, establishing forward bases, and forming alliances. The Arterian, for one. Shock rippled through the chamber. Impossible. The Arterian have rejected all diplomacy for 3 centuries, snapped Trova. Perhaps they responded better to a species that didn't approach them with threats of subjugation, Xylar suggested. Counselors, the situation is deteriorating rapidly. The humans will be ready within 2 standard years. We must open diplomatic channels now. We must appease them. The council chamber erupted in panicked debate. Counselor Morva finally raised a hand for silence. Admiral Xylar, your warning is noted. However, the Council cannot be seen to capitulate. It would undermine our authority. With respect, Counselor, I'm not suggesting capitulation. I'm suggesting we avoid extinction. A stain would be a mercy. Shocked murmurs filled the chamber. Counselor Zarth rose, mandibles flaring. That is enough, Admiral. Your failure has affected your judgment. This is treasonous talk. Xylar stared at them, none meeting her gaze. They couldn't believe. Very well, she said finally. Since the Council rejects my recommendation, I respectfully request permission to establish a defensive perimeter in the systems bordering human space. At the very least, we should be prepared. Counselor Morva nodded. That seems a reasonable precaution. You will be granted command of the Third Fleet. He paused. Though I think you will find these humans less formidable than your report suggests once they venture beyond their home system. I hope you are right, Counselor, for all our sakes.
3 months later, aboard the Grim Resolve, Xylar received the transmission she'd been dreading. "Admiral," Lieutenant Vorek called. "Message coming in on all frequencies. It's broadcasting everywhere." "Put it through," Xylar ordered. General Alexander Thorne appeared on screen. "Greetings to the leadership and citizens of the Galactic Dominion. 9 months ago, your military forces attacked human colonies. When they reached Earth, we demonstrated our capacity for self-defense and allowed your surviving ships to return home with a warning." Thorne leaned forward. "First, that warning was ignored. Our diplomatic envoys were turned away. Our intelligence indicates that the Dominion continues to prepare for further aggression." "He's good," murmured Commander Rodas. "No bluster, just cold, hard facts." "Therefore, as of 0800 hours Earth Standard Time, humanity and our allied species formally declare a state of war against the Galactic Dominion. We do not take this action lightly. You chose otherwise." The camera pulled back to reveal a tactical display of Dominion territory, with key military installations highlighted. "For the citizens of the Dominion, our quarrel is not with you. Civilian targets will not be engaged. Surrender will be accepted. Prisoners will be treated humanely." Thorne stood up, his frame filling the screen with undeniable authority. "To the Dominion High Council, you have 24 hours to surrender unconditionally. After that, we are coming for you. And unlike your failed campaign against us, we will not be stopped." The transmission cut off. Silence reigned. "It's a bluff," Vorek said finally. Alarm shrieked. The sensor officer's voice rose in panic. "Multiple spatial distortions detected. Thousands, surrounding the entire defensive perimeter. My God, the sheer scale." Xylar moved to the tactical display. Human warships, far larger and more numerous, emerged from perfectly stable, artificial wormholes across a front spanning hundreds of light-years. "That's impossible," whispered Rodas. "No species has mastered stable wormhole technology on this scale." "Humanity specializes in the impossible, Commander," Xylar replied grimly. "Battle stations. All ships form defensive positions. Open a channel to the High Council. Tell them I told you so. Tell them their arrogance has doomed us all." The bridge rocked as the first shots were fired. The Dominion War had begun. Or, as humans would later call it, the shortest galactic conflict in history. 1 week. That's all it took. One brutal, terrifying, utterly decisive week for a species the Dominion had dismissed as barely space-capable to shatter the military might of an empire that had stood for 10 millennia. Xylar sat in the ruins of the High Council chamber on Dominion Prime, surrounded by debris. "Penny for your thoughts, Admiral." General Alexander Thorne's voice came from behind her. "I doubt my thoughts are worth much these days," Xylar replied bitterly. "Your defense of the Arcturus sector was impressive," Thorne offered. "You nearly stopped our Third Fleet." "Nearly counts for nothing in war, General," Xylar replied. Thorne nodded. "I argued against the strike on the Council chamber, but I was overruled by the civilian authority." "Why are you here, General? To gloat? To take me prisoner?" "None of the above," Thorne replied, taking a sip from a flask. "I'm here to offer you a job." Xylar's mandibles clicked in surprise. "A job?" "Yep. We just dismantled the governmental structure of several thousand inhabited worlds. Someone needs to help put it back together. Someone who understands both Dominion culture and the harsh reality of the new galactic order." "And you think that someone is me, the Admiral who failed to stop you?" "No,"
Thorne corrected. "The admiral who tried to prevent this war in the first place. We know you advocated for diplomatic engagement after the Sol incident. We knew you were a pragmatist." Xylar stared at him. "You had spies in the High Council?" "We had spies everywhere, Admiral," said Thorne with a shrug. "Human intelligence operations are thorough, deep, very, very deep." "What exactly would this job entail?" "Interim governor of the Transitional Authority for the former Dominion territories. You'd work with a human advisory team, but you'd have significant autonomy. Your first task would be to prevent the collapse of essential services." "And if I refuse?" "Then you will be treated as a prisoner of war, humanely but confined, and someone else will do the job anyway, likely with far more unnecessary bloodshed." Thorne gestured around them. "The old order is gone, Admiral. It's not coming back. The question is whether you want to help shape what replaces it." Xylar considered this. "Why me? There must be thousands of Dominion officials more versed in governance than a military commander." "Because you understand something they don't," Thorne said. "You understand humanity. You have studied us. You have fought us. You have seen what happens when we are threatened. And more importantly, you are pragmatic enough to recognize reality when it bites you in the lower thoracic segment, I believe." Xylar clicked a dry laugh. "Yes, General, I suppose I am a pragmatist." She stood. "Before I consider your offer, what are humanity's long-term plans for the galaxy? Conquest? Subjugation?" Thorne met her gaze. "Honestly, we are still figuring that out. Factions that want revenge are balanced against those advocating for cooperation. Having a respected Dominion figure advocating for peace from within might tip the balance." "You are manipulating me," Xylar stated. "Absolutely," Thorne agreed cheerfully. "Is it working?" Xylar nodded. "I will accept this position, with conditions. First, amnesty for junior officers. Second, humane treatment for all prisoners. Third, guarantees that essential services will be maintained for all civilian populations." "Already being done, Admiral. Anything else?" Xylar looked up through the shattered dome at the stars. "One final question, General. Could this have ended differently if the Council had accepted my recommendation after the Sol incident?" Thorne followed her gaze. "Yes, Admiral. Humans don't enjoy war. We're just very, very good at it when pushed. Had your Council shown genuine contrition, things might have been very different." "I thought as much," Xylar said quietly. "One final condition. I want it on record that I advised against this conflict from the very beginning." "Already there, Admiral," Thorne assured her. "Our intelligence is thorough." He extended his hand. "Do we have a deal, Governor?" Xylar clasped his hand. "We have a deal, General Thorne." As they walked from the ruins, an aide approached Thorne. "Councillor Xarth escaped. He's rallying forces in the Outer Rim." Xylar made a dismissive gesture. "Xarth was always more bluster than substance. The defeat of the home world will demoralize any forces he gathers." "Perhaps," Thorne said, though he didn't sound convinced. "Still, we should address it. Any suggestions, Governor?" "As a matter of fact, yes," Xylar said, a grim, ironic satisfaction returning. "This is an excellent opportunity to demonstrate the new cooperation. A joint task force, perhaps. Dominion ships under human command, or vice versa. Show the galaxy that the future lies in cooperation, not continued conflict." "I like it," Thorne grinned. "It sends precisely the right message. And if this Xarth is as ineffective as you suggest, it should be a relatively simple operation. A good test run for our new arrangement." "Indeed, General," Xylar agreed as they boarded the shuttle. She looked at the stars. A year ago, she was a proud Grand Admiral hunting humans. Now she was collaborating with those prey, building a new order from her civilization's ashes. The fear was still there, but mingled with understanding. Humanity had indeed unleashed hell, and now they would dictate its peace.